Hello, baby. Welcome, Hellions and Helliettes, to another episode of the Hellion Rebellion Rock and Roll Association, brought to you by the only host who has probably the sexiest receding hairline on YouTube, Holly Geist. I would be remiss if I didn't do at least one show talking about the originators of rock and roll. I grew up in the great state of Louisiana. And in that state, Jerry Lee Lewis is the king of rock and roll. Unless you grew up in New Orleans. In New Orleans, you may have picked Fats Domino. For the last 20 some odd years, I've lived in the great city of St. Louis. And here, Chuck Berry is the king of rock and roll. Now, the state of Missouri has a huge Dwayne Eddy contingent. I don't think Dwayne Eddy is from this state, but there's a lot of love for that individual here. Worldwide, we've all agreed that Elvis Presley is the king of rock and roll. It's not something I'm going to argue. He precedes a lot of these characters by 2, 3, 4 years. He was definitely doing it first, coming straight off of country and blues. But for my money and my journey through this genre of music that I so passionately love, I have always been a Buddy Holly guy. Buddy Holly would come out of the teeny big city of Lubbock, Texas. That is in the northwestern quadrant of Texas. It's we consider that part of the Great Plains here in the United States. It is home to roughly 270,000 people, as well as Texas Tech University. Buddy Holly would show up in 1952, and I really don't think he made it to 1960. He could have. So I'm going to go ahead and say Buddy Holly, his career went up to 1958 or 1959. He, alongside of Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, and of course the Pilot, and would perish in an airplane accident. And what's his name? Don McLean would write the song American Pie, The Day the Music Died, and that song is based off of that plane crash. I personally love Buddy Holly because even though I was familiar with the Buddy Holly story, a movie that showed up in the early 80s, it had Gary Busey playing Buddy Holly. I loved that movie as a child, but I really didn't listen to that kind of music. I wouldn't really listen to Buddy until probably the Stand By Me soundtrack, and the song was called Every Day, and I absolutely loved that song when I heard it. And it's kind of backwards thinking, but the first time I ever heard it and really listened to this guy's music, I equated it to the Ramones because I was familiar with the Ramones, and I'm like, oh, this guy sounds like the Ramones. Oh, I need to listen to this. So, the world of rock and roll is a mystical, magical place, and it's weird how things fall in line, and rock and roll does what it wants to do. And I mean, did the Ramones come before Buddy Holly, or did Buddy Holly come before the Ramones? I don't know. But I keep thinking, even though he died in a plane crash years before my time, years before I was born, I can't. That even to this day, me thinking about that is it has such a huge impact. Like, I can't imagine what kids or fans felt when that happened. That's the equivalent of, like, oh, James Hetfield, Dee Snider, and Ozzy Osbourne are on an airplane, and now they're gone. I'm like, what? Or imagine, like, back in the '80s with the Monsters of Rock tours. You had Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, Bon Jovi, Metallica, all these bands on one big airplane. What if that airplane had gone down and all these bands were gone all of a sudden? I can't imagine how that really feels. Like, when your whole world revolves around buying 45s and going to shows, and you love this sort of thing. Like, how big that would have really been. I guess it might be kind of like when Leonard Skinner, you lost a whole band in a plane crash. It's just so sad. And even somebody like me who shows up 20, 30 years later, it's just like, damn, dude, that's hard. So, yeah, not to dampen the mood, I love Buddy Holly. He's the king of rock and roll, and I will be listening to this individual for the rest of my life. So, how about I quit yakking, and shall we listen to some Buddy Holly? These are some shorties, but some lovelies. So I'm probably going to go ahead and play 2, maybe even 3 songs. Let's do this thing.
Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave, you know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well, you give me all your loving and your dirty loving, all your hugs and kisses and your money too. Well, you know you love me, baby. Still you tell me maybe that someday, well, I'll be blue. Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave, you know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. When you say goodbye, yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave, you know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well, when Cupid shot his dart, he shot it at your heart. So if we ever part, then I leave you. You sit and hold me and you tell me boldly that someday, well, I'll be through. Well, that'll be the day when you say goodbye. Yes, that'll be the day when you make me cry. You say you're gonna leave, you know it's a lie, 'cause that'll be the day when I die. Well, that'll be the day. That'll be the day. That'll be the day. That'll be the day.
Ooh, I love that song. What's another good one? Ooh. Here's one that the Stones actually covered earlier in their career.
I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna be. Are you gonna give your love to me? You know my love will not fade away. Oh, well, you know my love will not fade away. My love is bigger than a Cadillac. I try to show it when you're driving me back. Your love for me got to be real. For you to know just how I feel. A love for real, not fade away. Gonna give your love to me. A love to last more than one day. A love is love and not fade away. A love is love and not fade away.
So there you go. A couple bangers from old Buddy Holly, whose real name was Charles, by the way, if you didn't know. I didn't know. I actually looked that up earlier. Anyway, I hope you liked it. It's classic. Even if you don't listen to style of music, there's chances are you've heard these songs before. We could play the whole CD. You've probably heard every one of these. I will never get tired of it, and I will never get tired of you. I love you. Remember to reuse, reduce, and recycle. And I will see you next week.